Adam, we are back for a little video because we're back on
Oh,
schedule. And I let for the listeners, I let Adam choose this, or the viewers actually. I let Adam choose this topic. So I said to him, pick your poison for a topic. And it was either Lost Record stuff or Life is Strange. And he went for Life is Strange.
yes.
And Adam, I've wanted to ask you this question for a long time. And I've even spoken to Abby about it briefly, but I was like, I'm going to leave this for a dedicated one. And it was part of StrangeCast as a main topic before we revamped the show. But it is a main discussion. So the simple question is, would you, in your position, if you had the chance, retcon Life is Strange double exposure?
Would I retcon it in the way of like taking it out of the official canon, you're saying?
Yes.
Absolutely I would, because there is nothing. So double exposure is an interesting story where
Mhm.
fan fiction is not right. Fan fiction is not canon, right? I can't
Mhm.
talk about like my Matrix fanfic and it's just like, oh yeah, like Neo is this way because I wrote him that way. No. Um, but in the same way, and in the same way with the Matrix Online, we got the canonical version that Morpheus dies in
Mm.
Matrix Online. Uh, you can't take it out of canon now because Morpheus is now dead. However, if you want the series to continue, like the Matrix is not really continuing. We're not talking about the HBO Max release. Was it Resurrections? Yeah, Matrix
Yeah.
Resurrections.
Oh
That
God.
was yeah. I think I had rose colored glasses because it was during the pandemic, and anything coming out like, wow, this is great. Little sign of happiness in the pandemic. If you watch it any other time, it's like, oh, this isn't good. You were just searching for happiness. That's why Tiger King was so big.
Yeah.
Um, I still stand by Tiger King. Um, not the individual, the show, not the.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Back on
uh,
it.
back on this. Yeah, I don't think there's any harm to say that because companies have done this before. I mean, take for example Disney with Star Wars. They took all of the novels that were written previous, including the
Mm.
Darth Bane trilogy, one of the best written trilogies in Star Wars canon, and they retconned it. They said, "Nope."
Oh,
You
I
remember
remember
that?
Disney doing that. Yeah, that's
Disney
like
said,
exact.
yeah, it was all legends. So like all the novels were deemed Star Wars legends. So if they wrote on a book Star Wars Legends, that means that that book was not canon. But if that book didn't have Star Wars Legends on it, like any reprints of it, then it was part of the
Mhm.
canon. I believe I believe the book about Palpatine was canon. I don't think they put that on Legends. I could be wrong about that. My point here is that companies have done this before. They've gone in and they said this is no longer canon. I can't think of a video game company doing that about a
I
certain game. Can you think of one?
I can. Yeah.
What which one?
It belongs to my boy Hideo Kojima. Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake was
That's
retconned from the
right.
official canon.
That's right. Yes, I forgot.
Mm.
Yeah. God, dude. But yeah,
And that's a mirror image of the situation we have where it's a creator that wasn't involved in the original one, and it's like there was so
yes.
many shades of it.
Yes. And so it's been done before, and I believe, we all can agree here that the story of double exposure does not feel like it's canon. It doesn't really take the trauma that Max went through in the previous games
Mhm,
and really solidifies it. Like Chloe is not involved. Chloe is either dead or they broke up. That doesn't feel like canon, right? Um, whereas Life is Strange 2 really felt like a canon story within the universe of
mhm,
Life is Strange.
yeah,
So yes, when you ask me, should this be retconned? I think the sales have dipped. I think that's okay. So I shouldn't say this. Not I think the sales have dipped. We're making an official statement here. The sales have dipped, right? The team has been exited from the studio.
mhm.
This game is winning barely any awards, right? It's a disappointing launch from all these different aspects. So why not retcon it? Why not just like say like this is no longer the canon to the story of Life is Strange?
It's a fair comment because when I spoke to Abby and said, "You should play it again," she's like, "No."
Yeah.
It's like you could tell why she didn't wanna play it again. I'm only using it for a recent example because I'm usually careful about saying you should retcon something because, like, if you do it, then you play into fans' expectations and demands, even if it's like for a minor thing. On this, and obviously it seems like it might be like a simple answer that I'm giving, I would 100% retcon it because I was going to bring Metal Gear up as an example where they did that. So Konami famously published a sequel to the first Metal Gear in 1987, which was Metal Gear, and they created Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, and they
Yes.
created that without Hideo Kojima's involvement. And it's a full-on action-blown game. So it's nothing like the second Metal Gear. It bombed, and then basically Kojima came back into the director's chair because someone who worked on Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake said to him, it's like, I want to see a sequel from the original creator, Mr. Kojima. He's like, I want to see it from you. So then he made Metal Gear 2
Mm.
as the direct sequel for that. So Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. Oh, Metal Gear. What's that? Is it Metal Gear Solid Snake, the game?
I'm pretty sure it's
Actually, I'm
Solid
gonna admit.
Snake, but you would know better than me.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's been a long time since I've like rehearsed my narrative of the Metal Gear franchise and like the
Yes.
entries. Oh, it's right. That's it. So, right, timeline. 1987 Metal Gear is released. I'm double checking that. It's like, yeah, it's 1987. Yeah, 1987 Metal Gear is released on the MSX home computer, all the
Yes.
releases. And then Konami commissioned a sequel, and it's called Snake's Revenge. So Snake's Revenge is released.
Yes.
That is the unofficial
Yes.
version of Metal Gear. That is now not canon. They released it as a canon release at first, and it
Yes.
didn't have Kojima involved in it. Snake Revenge bombs because it's like it's completely different from Metal Gear. And then at that point as well, Kojima is asked by someone who works on Snake's Revenge to make a Metal Gear game, and he makes Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. That's the game that he makes as
Yeah.
the direct sequel to Metal Gear. So I've
So that's
completely messed up that. So
That's a perfect
like
example. So, like, a
yeah,
a game that was not touched by the original creator and the sales have bombed,
yeah.
right? So it's like, it's been done before in the same kind of situation. So it's like,
And
yeah,
it put the series back on track. It put it
yeah,
back on track for it because obviously there's a big gap between Metal Gear 2 coming out and then Metal Gear Solid, but like
mhm,
it put the series back on track, and it also like Snake's Revenge is looked at differently because like even people go back and play it and it's like, oh, it's actually like, you know, this little comical
yeah,
spoof kind of thing, but it's not because it's not considered part of the official canon anymore. And when
mm,
you make something like Kojima's had this with Metal Gear, it's like even with Portable Ops, Konami sees it as canon, he does not see it as canon. And it's like with this as well, like this game, like we've already spoken about it before, if this game wasn't canon, it wouldn't be perceived the way that it is. But because it's an
right,
official canon entry, you've created precedent. So even when people say to me, it's like, well, Michelle said this, Michelle's only doing it and saying it because that's his perception of it. But history will dictate that this is the direct sequel to the first Life is Strange. So when Adam's saying Life is Strange 2 feels like a good, worthy sequel to Life is Strange, it is because it is. It's not just because it's done by Michelle and Don't Nod's hands. It's also because it respects what it established before from both timelines. This game doesn't do that. So
right,
ultimately, that's where double exposure will be in a position where you should retcon it and move forward from that because it caused too much damage. As you said, you basically have a creative team, the first in history in the entire franchise, which got laid off after the game was released and was
mhm,
also laid off in between the games as well. It was like constant just layoffs, isn't it? And then on top of that, the game has fractured the fan base. I would argue that it's been brand IP damage beyond half repair at this point.
yes,
And we're in a situation where it's all murky and it's disappointing because like for me some of my favorite characters, i.e. Solid Snake, Big Boss, they've had some of the greatest sign-offs in history as video
mhm,
game characters. Max's legacy is now all over the place because it's like we actually
yes,
had a great ending for her story, and even in the comics you had a great ending for her story. Now it's like the imminent threat of Max Caulfield will return is hovering over us, and we're like,
yes,
oh dear lord, like help us all. So I would personally retcon it because I think that there's a more logical do that and be like, accept it and be like, okay, we made a mistake here. Let's move forward, revamp, da 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 da. Now, the big question is, will Square Enix retcon it?
yeah,
And my answer is no. I
yeah,
don't think they're going to retcon it at all. I think they're going to keep it as the canon. And my personal feeling at the moment is they're going to pivot at that point. So, based on
yes,
where we're at right now with the sequel, they can pivot and trying to fix core elements within the story. So they'll take whatever's left over in the remnants of the game and
mhm,
try and fix that as a sequel. Now,
absolutely,
we've talked about this before with like you saying about Chloe Price coming back, and I'm also very much like on the sense I'm like, oh god,
yeah,
let this could end even worse. There is only one saving grace in that game. There
mhm,
is only one, like Abby said as well, there was fail safes built in that game. My belief is they blew every single one up to that final sequence. And it's the fact
mhm,
that they merged the timelines. That is your only saving grace at this point to go forward with it. But for me personally, that's where I think that they will try and maybe move on from from where the game ends and
Mhm.
pivot off that, because there is a logical way you can pivot off the end of the game. But do they retcon it?
Yeah,
I don't think Square's going to do it, and I think that and that's stubbornness coming from the most stubborn individual on the planet. That is stubbornness, and I think you need to accept accountability that this game does need to be retconned. And I think that's going to leave a sour taste in people's mouths, because I think if they retconned it and started from scratch, I think people will be more willing to try again. But it's
absolutely.
because it's because you destroy lore. This is the issue with Life is Strange. Double exposure has all kinds of different issues. Someone will come in here and be like, well, you only hate it because Chloe's not in the game. No, stop doing that. That is lazy criticism for a game that has systemic flaws with it. But
Mhm.
in itself, with double exposure, the one thing it does, even beyond everything else, it destroys lore that it established. For years and years, it had lore in it, and it just disregards it. And that's another part of the legacy. Even double exposure could have worked in so many different ways, whether it was a different protagonist or if they said it wasn't canon. It wouldn't have been perceived the way it has. It's because you establish a lore in it. It's like the same with the mainline entries of Star Wars. Like, even when Disney did that thing that you said with all those other ones, that's like, whatever. Why are you bothering? They're like different spin-offs and stuff. Like, unless it's the main entry that you're, retconning, then fair enough. But it's like this main entry has divided people. And I think,
Yes.
like, personally speaking, I would 100% retcon it, go back to the drawing board, and then go from scratch and go from there, because you've actually got the best quality test data as well, because you don't have to do a focus group. You got
Mhm.
the reaction from people. At that
Yeah,
point, you're like, oh, actually, that's fantastic. But instead, it's going to be focus group, and we go back to it. But I do think there is going to be room for that. I think that,
mhm.
from my position, at least with Square, and what I think we'll do is the retcon conversation in the floor? No, I don't think they're going to do that. But what I think they're going to do is they're going to pivot off that. But I
Yes.
don't think that's enough to win people over, though, because I think that still exists, doesn't it? And people are going to be peeved off, man. I see in every
Yes.
other comment replies, I'm not a sapphic human being. And even when Abby talks to me about it, I'm like, you're sapphic, and it's like, you love Max and Chloe. They broke it up, and they played into one of the biggest stereotypes in history from that. And it's like,
Yeah.
you cause all, yeah, it's I personally think that they should. I think that there's too much damage that's been done from this entry, and we've talked about it time and time again. Entry points in this game. I think on the StrangeCast episode, Adam just had like the almost unhinged rant, but there's been problems within the game. I think you'd be smart to retcon it. I think it
Mhm.
would be the smart, because you win fans back over with that, because people will be like, oh, actually, you've held accountability and you've made the decision. Like, okay, we made a mistake and do that, but I don't think they're going to do it. I think the stubbornness is going to come through from the most stubborn human being ever. I can pivot. Apparently,
Yeah,
people don't think I can pivot, but I can definitely change my opinions. And
but
I think
Square
that
doesn't. Square never will.
no,
Never does, never
no.
will. Yeah.
But you made some good comments as well in the Strange Cast, where you said like they run IPs into the ground, man. Those like
Yeah.
free games that you pulled off, that's like commonly known for like Square, but it's like when you look at other ones, like it's like Capcom, it's like Devil May Cry and like Resident Evil and Dead
Mhm.
Rising and like all these other games you mentioned, they keep like the IPs consistently going after a revamp. Square doesn't do that. So I personally would. Do I think they're
Yes.
going to do it now?
No.
They would have done it a long time ago. But anyway, I think we'll wrap up here. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you are new here, I know some people come here. We have 50% of people who come aren't subscribed. I'm Adnan, Adam, whichever
No.
direction he's on. We
Yes.
host StrangeCast, which is Life is Strange fan podcast. We're almost at 100 episodes on that. We're running it for 4 years. We also run the Lost Records Journal, which is a Lost Records focused podcast. We're almost at 25 episodes in that. So do check them out. They're bi-weekly. They change, and we keep you covered up to date with all the news, discussions, even interviews, chats, everything. So if you do like that, go and check them out as well. They're on RSS feeds and YouTube, and we are on YouTube here as well. So we'll sign off. Please do subscribe as well if you are new here. Help us get to 1,700 subscribers. Like the video, share with your friends. Even if you don't like the video, you should like it as well. If you do not like this video, I'll retcon you. That's what's going to happen. You'll be retconned from the comments, which means your comments get deleted and disappear.
Yes.
So yeah, like the video. But yeah, stay tuned with us. I'm hoping that this comes out on the Friday. We're recording the 5th of April, so this will come out on the Friday. The Lost Records Journal will be back hopefully on the Monday. And
Mm.
then, Adam, it is tape 2 of Lost Records, which is exciting. So I'm very excited for us to get into that. We will be digging a lot into that. Hopefully nothing dramatic happens in Life is Strange
Yes.
world in between that. But anyway, take care, guys. See you later. Bye.
Later.